there's a lot of ways to try to find shortcuts. I don't believe in shortcuts. I think shortcuts will always haunt you, and if we do it, we try to do it right. Try to do it right once, and then we don't have to do it again.
I've said, instead of focus on the product, let's focus on the problem we're solving. Because I think the product, sometimes people don't know they need it.
My daughter wanted a Labubu.
Yeah.
It was like end of last year. I'm like,
Yeah,
what is this thing? It's so ugly. It's the very basic mechanics, creating supply and demand, limited editions. You don't know what you're buying when you buy these blind boxes.
It's gamifying it as well, which I think is really important for the new generation.
Why does Coca-Cola still invest into TV and out of home and some of those very expensive big partnerships?
The truth is, a lot of these luxury brands, they don't cost what they sell them for. You're really buying the brand, but people are happy to pay a premium because all this brand equity has been built up.
And I think this is the beauty about the advertising industry. It's all about persuasion.
Welcome back to the Vitals Expert Series. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Jan. Jan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here in Thailand? Well, not just Thailand, well, actually in Southeast Asia and, well, actually China as well, right? To Asia in general.
Oh, thank you for having me here. It's great to be invited. I'm German originally, but I've been in Asia now for 18 years. Spent about 8 years in China, 3 years in Hong Kong, almost 7 years in Thailand. So I'm very grateful to call Thailand home. And I'm a marketing and media expert. I've worked in media agencies for many years, worked on the client side for Huawei, Oppo, Foodpanda. Since 2023, I'm running my own boutique consulting business called Vertus Asia. And we work with a number of clients, including Vitals, helping various different brands to maximize their marketing efficiency. This year, I've already been 75 days in China, and I'm going back next week again.
So you've done a full circle with China. So you started in China, and now you're you're just going back to spending more time there. What brought you to China at first?
Actually, my brother worked for Mercedes-Benz. He was one of those lucky expats that were brought to China in the very early 2000s, and I went to China in 2006. And I just got hooked. Beijing at the time had only 3 subway lines. Now it's probably over 20. And I joined pre-Olympics and I saw this exponential growth. And then I was still very young. I was 19, and I decided I want to focus my career on this center of gravity, economically, politically. There's so much potential here. I studied Chinese.
Do you speak Chinese fluently?
I wish I could claim that. 我的中文就还可以. It's not as good as what it used to be. I did my HSK level back in 2009, but I studied 3 years. I took 1 year off to basically be a full-time student in China. I got a scholarship for that in Shoudu Jingmao in Beijing. And then I ended up working for Huawei from 2016 to 2018, helping them to become a global brand. Before I joined, to me, they were not a consumer brand many people knew. By the time I had left, they were number 2 in the world for selling mobile phones.
It's interesting. So I guess when you started Huawei, it wasn't the Huawei that we all know today, being like you could call it the Chinese equivalent of an Apple or Microsoft, something of that level, right?
Yes.
So when you started at Huawei, was it primarily only focused in China, or were you helping with the global rollout?
So I was not taking care of the China market. I started as the senior global marketing manager, and I ended up being the global media investment director, taking care of all of the media investments for the consumer business group, which predominantly included the mobile phones. And the time I joined was just the P9. I'm not sure where they are now, probably P50. So
was the P9 a smartphone?
Yes, that was the smartphone. And that was the time they took things very seriously. They took Scarlett Johansson for the P10 launch. No, that was P9, Scarlett Johansson and Henry Cavill from Superman. So that was the first time they really started building the brand. And it's quite interesting. I'm still now spending a lot of time in China. A lot of brands are very much putting the funnel on the head. It's traditionally a lot of brands doing out-of-home TV, brand advertising. Then you go into the consideration phase. And at some point, you have your performance marketing element. In China, or for the Chinese brands going overseas, everything is hardcore sales. And I think it's quite an interesting topic, how to balance. Because if you want to be successful and you want to charge a premium, which some of these brands now want to do because they are very successfully having improved and perfectionized their production capabilities, now they just don't want to sell for cheap anymore via a third party. So lots.
They want to sell direct.
They want to sell direct, but
And is that online or through shops? Or?
It's a mix. A lot of them is online. So right now the work I do is predominantly focused on 5 different categories, and the amount of money being spent by the Chinese brands overseas is incredible. So for Meta, for this year, we are talking about $20 billion from Chinese brands, and then you will add on Amazon, and you add the Trade Desk, and you add Google on top. You're talking about a very significant investment, but it's very heavily purely on performance.
And that's all outside of China.
It's all outside of China.
Yeah.
So I've been helping Oppo, I've been helping Huawei to go overseas, and there's a huge demand. So the 5 categories are EVs. The local market in China is not doing incredibly well. So everyone is looking for that lifeline to go overseas. So you have the EV companies, and they are very aggressively growing. They do, however, get it. I think they do great sponsorships. BYD sponsoring Hyrox, for example. They do a lot of out-of-home. Then you have the gaming companies. I was at China Joy in August in Shanghai, and you see so many gaming companies that are spending like hundreds of millions of dollars on advertising on platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Then you have your white goods companies. Haier is, for example, one brand. You have other electronic companies. Then you have your e-commerce giants. Shein, Temu are just 2 of them. Temu, for example, spent last year $2 billion on Meta alone. And then you still have the mobile phone companies, which includes Honor, Huawei, Xiaomi, Oppo, OnePlus, and they are all spending quite aggressively. So that's 5 of those very big categories we are looking for right now.
Yeah, and actually, it must be you're focused predominantly on like helping these Chinese brands expand globally, right?
Correct.
I know, being made in China, being a China brand doesn't automatically set a high standard, right? So you're almost starting on the back foot. Could you say that? Because if you're going to America promoting just scenario, or Australia, New Zealand, UK, you're promoting a Chinese brand. I think it's more difficult than the other way around, bringing, an American brand to China, or, Louis Vuitton to China, for example. I do know overseas brands do very well. So that reverse mechanism, how do you find, overcoming the obstacles with being a Chinese brand, so to speak?
It's a massive branding issue. Essentially, most of the products are made in China anyways.
Yeah.
And if you look at...
the truth is, for example, I think, so Dr. Dre, he came to Hong Kong. I remember it was like 15 or 20 years ago. The Beats by Dre thing came out, and one of the things he did was he went to the market in Hong Kong. I think it's in the Mongkok Ladies Market, and he bought some headphones, and he was testing them. He said, "Well, actually, these are pretty good quality Beats by headphones, but they're not. Even though they're not made by Beats by Dre's factory and quality control, they're still made in China and probably from a similar factory." Actually, he said that's when you know your brand's made it, when someone's actually willing to counterfeit it.
No, that's very true. And I think Apple is a great example. It is made in China, but it's designed in California. And there are more and more brands now, I think, that do understand the pure focus on performance marketing is not going to get you where you need to be, because then you will be always a commodity. And I think right now there are more and more Chinese brands that people are willing to buy, not just because of the product, not just because of the price. And I think there are some brands like, say, Trip.com. I think they do a quite good job from a branding perspective.
The Chinese company?
Yeah.
I use them for all my travel hotel bookings.
Yeah.
It's very user-friendly, simple, and
exactly.
I think usually pricing is quite competitive also.
It is. And if you go to the airport here in Bangkok, everything is Trip.com.
That's probably where I've seen it. That's probably why,
Exactly, subconsciously.
Yeah. Good media investing.
Exactly. The other brand I think that is probably one of the good ones, but maybe people don't know it's Chinese, is DJI, the drone company. Extremely successful, doing great work with rallies, sports. They call Dajiang Industries. Most people don't know. The other company that I see up and coming that is giving, what is this small camera that people...
GoPro?
Yeah. The other company that I see giving GoPro a run for their money is Insta360.
Yes.
And they're Chinese as well. They're from Shenzhen.
You know the GoPro story, right? The guy that founded GoPro, he went to the Canton Fair, and he saw it. A factory had obviously generated this product, and then he trademarked it. He bought the IP or the license for GoPro. So it's just someone that went to Canton Fair, saw a product, and said, "Oh, this is like a great product." And it just shows you but so it's really, if you break it down, it's a Chinese company and brand, but it's been marketed as GoPro, Surfer, California, action sports brand.
Well, there you go. And I think the other one, my daughter wanted a Labubu.
Yeah.
It was like end of last year. I'm like,
I have
what
a
is
lot of
this
those.
thing? It's so ugly.
I have 2 daughters also.
But I think the way they did it, because it's produced in China, and they are now fighting other Chinese companies making counterfeits. They have, I think, QR codes now where you can
Verify them.
Verify them. But I think what they mastered is in a very short period of time with relatively limited marketing and just very smart tactics, creating a huge demand. And I think everyone knows Labubu is from China now, and they found this great Hong Kong artist to create it. But I think now we are at that tipping point where Chinese brands are becoming more and more popular
and cool.
Because
I would say Labubu is a cool, like if you look at it, I think people in the US, UK, now they're on the Labubu craze, for example, or Pop Mart in general, right? And that would just, typically you'd think this is kind of an Asian-based trend, right? But it's now translated over into the Western cultures.
Yeah, and it's the very basic mechanics, creating supply and demand, limited editions. You don't know what you're buying when you buy these blind boxes.
It's gamifying it as well, which I think is really important for the new generation.
And then creating the us as well, because initially my daughter wanted it because her friends had some. And now I see a lot of grown-up ladies having them attached to their bags.
Handbags, No, so my daughters, they wanted the Labubu to put on their school bag because they think I guess they see other people having it, so they want to be the same, right? Or they want to be part of the trend, so to speak.
Yeah, so I'm quite grateful that as a marketer, I have been in China for many years, about 8 years, living there, studying there, working there, and then helping Chinese brands for a number of years to go overseas, and now being based outside of China, still trying to help them. Not exclusively, I still work with other nice brands as well, but that's a super exciting time, and I think this tipping point that I mentioned will be happening in the next probably 2 years, and then.
So you think the Chinese brands could not take over, but they're going to become more and more popular globally? For
sure, I think the best example is the EVs. The price point is incredibly low for what you get. The value for money is amazing. I was working on a project for a German car manufacturer, and they are selling predominantly gas-powered cars, sports cars.
Mercedes or Audis. Or
it's basically Porsche, for example.
Porsche, yeah.
And they have the Taycan and EV. When we did some research with them, what was quite interesting is the neighbor will think you don't know anything about cars if you buy the Taycan, because you can get a Chinese EV with more power.
It's so funny you say this. So I had a situation where a friend was asking me, they're saying, I'm thinking about buying the electric Porsche. I said, why would you pay that money for like an electric Porsche? Like I think if you're going to buy a Porsche, you go get a gas, you get a 911, or whatever you can afford. You get you get the German or the muscle, right? I said, if you're going to spend that kind of money, you might as well just go get a BYD or a Zeekr or one of these cars, because the value, you're just getting so much more value for your money.
Exactly, but then we go to the branding problem again. I mean, Porsche is probably one of the top brands in the world, and they have been able to charge an extreme premium
for the little badge.
Yeah, for the badge. And there are certain cars, let's say the Cayenne, that is sharing a lot of parts with the cheaper siblings, the Touareg from VW. But I think this is now happening, and I would say in the next 5 years, if the Chinese keep doing a great innovation and these price points, it's going to be very tough for many established brands that are very big right now, like even Ford, Volkswagen, even Toyota, to compete.
Yeah, because that's soon, I imagine, I could be wrong, they could already be out there, pickup trucks, for example. Like you said, Ford or Chevy or Cadillac. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before China comes out with something of those models, then we'll then start competing in those industries as well. Because definitely...
Yeah, possible. I'm not sure about the pickup trucks, because that is not something that you would see a lot in China right now. But
not even rural China?
Yeah, they have a lot of trucks, but not as many pickup trucks. But I think this is gonna happen. And there's a lot of consumers now looking at it. And the Chinese were also smart. They kept buying established brands. MG is now Chinese. Lotus is now Chinese.
Was that why MG now has quite a big EV division?
Correct.
And they have a 7-seater, which is traditional, like the Zeekr R9 or whatever. They have the MG version, which look very similar.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny part. I was talking to one of my friends in China, and it's a very modular system. Historically, you needed to invest billions of dollars in research and creating these engines and chassis, and now it's a play and plug system. You basically can create your own
Just change the design
car
of
if
the
you
car.
want to, and then you hire a nice designer from one of those German companies or even Italian companies. They will make you a beautiful car. You chop it together, and you can offer it for $30,000, $35,000 US, and you get a pretty nice car.
So that's kind of what a new electric car in China is. Say a top of the range electric car in China is $35,000.
There's a lot of really good cars for that price point.
So would most people in China own a car, do you think? Or it's still expensive for China?
It depends where you look at. China is always cut into different pieces. You have your tier 1 cities, your tier 2 cities, your tier 3 cities, your tier 4 cities. But also the government is making massive changes. When I lived in Shenzhen in 2018, you would still see a lot of buses that were using diesel engines. Within 2 years, almost, they were all replaced by EVs. The government is supporting this a lot. If I'm not mistaken, about 50% of the cars sold in China today are EVs.
Wow.
So the change is
Well, that's the brand.
rapidly.
That's also kind of like a cultural change where if it's 50% now, you're going to assume in 20 years it's probably going to be 90% because the new people buying cars, they're going to grow up with electric cars.
Correct.
So it's going to, slowly the gasoline cars might be filtered out.
Yeah, I do like gasoline cars. So.
Yeah. And then how do you think that, something like for example, the US implementing tariffs for these Chinese brands, do you think, losing access to like certain markets can really affect it? Or do you think they're really focused globally and not just on, Europe or not just on the US?
I mean, the US is probably one of the biggest markets in the world with most consumers and a lot of buying power. However, I think the Chinese have been incredibly smart over 20 years ago already to look for a plan B. If you look across Africa, Chinese are building ports everywhere, railroads everywhere, building infrastructure, building relationships. And I think if the door to the US will close or is potentially being closed, they will pivot somewhere else. And this is what I saw with Huawei back in the days. I was working on an expansion plan with the team to actually enter the US, and then due to political reasons, that was no longer the plan. And then things were doubling down in Europe and Southeast Asia. So the Chinese will be going overseas, just a question of
because it's a
when.
high quality product at an affordable price. There's going to be markets somewhere for it, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you spent 8 years in China.
Yeah.
And then from after you left, Oppo and Huawei, you moved to Hong Kong.
That's correct.
So what made you decide to go from Hong Kong to from China?
So I met my wife in China. She's from Hong Kong, and I was very romantic back then. And I moved over. The company I was working for was a Publicis Group, a French advertising and media conglomerate. I moved over, and then I did my MBA with the Manchester Business School in Hong Kong. And during that time, I was violating all the rules actually the MBA had put in place. I changed jobs to join Omnicom. I had a kid. I got married, and I bought an apartment and changed housing, all of which, I think I aged quite a bit during those 2.5 years of the MBA. And I got to know Huawei more due to one of my classmates who said, it is the future, you should join the brand side, and there's this unpolished diamond, you might be part of the journey.
So even when you're based in Hong Kong, you're still primarily focused and spending a lot of time in China?
At that time, I had a regional role. There was some China projects, but I had left Hong Kong to go back to Shenzhen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then so you're in China for 8 years, 3 years in Hong Kong, and you said now you've been in Thailand, based in Thailand for 7 years.
Yes.
And what brought you to Thailand?
The company I worked for in Hong Kong called Omnicom took me back to run the Nissan business for the region. I was the business director for what they call performance marketing, which was combining media, creative, data into one set and exclusively working on Nissan. So I've done my fair share of automotive.
Yeah. And then you said Nissan in Thailand, and then after Nissan you decided to start your own company?
There were 2 steps in between. COVID came. I joined end of 2018, so almost 7 years ago. And then by 2021, the Nissan business wasn't doing extremely well, and Oppo which is basically Huawei in green.
Yeah.
It was looking for a global media director to run the media business. And later on, when I took that role, that expanded to OnePlus as well. So I managed OnePlus and Oppo. But it was a kind of interesting experience. It was a fully remote experience.
Yeah.
I'm now meeting some people when I go to China that I hired and that I worked with a couple of years ago.
And you worked with them digitally, virtually?
Correct. It was impossible to enter China at that time. And I was able and very grateful to be in Thailand during that period.
Yeah, because I do know that if you were stuck in China,
Yes.
then you couldn't have left, and you were probably forced to stick to a lot of tight regulations. So you were still working with Chinese brands in China during COVID.
Yeah, basically.
So how was just get back to China, we'll come back to Thailand, but how was it working with Chinese brands during COVID? Were they still operating? Were they kind of switching the focus overseas? What was kind of the mood and tone?
No, it was still business as usual. The growth plans were very clear for Oppo. It was very much Europe. Lots of focus on Europe, UK, Germany, France. Lots of sponsorships, Roland Garros, the French Open, for example. Lots of activities really building the brand to be able to charge premium. And then India was a very big focus, plus the rest of Southeast Asia.
Okay. So things actually never really, only the moving around and kind of, I guess, people's day-to-day life slowed down, but business, Correct. It was business as usual during COVID.
Correct, very much.
Okay, so then you're in Thailand, and then you said 3 years ago you started Vertus?
Correct.
Could you give us a little bit of what is Vertus? Why did you start it, and kind of what do you do now with Vertus?
I think I've been always a fairly demanding client when I worked on the client side, asking a lot from my agencies, and I had a lot of great partners, but also some were not on par. What I wanted to be is the partner that I always wanted to have for myself. And if you look at my logo, maybe you can add in the logo here, you would see these 3 lines. And the first line stands for really brutal honesty. I'm trying to tell clients what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, including extending the launch, for example, if an app isn't ready.
Yeah.
It's very important because as a consultant, you should really help your clients to improve the business and don't just sell what sells and not just give them the answers they want to hear. And a lot of agencies are not daring to do that. So it's not always easy, but that's what I'm trying to do. The second line is, as a German, I try to deliver German quality. Now you have AI, you have a lot of different tools. There's a lot of ways to try to find shortcuts. I don't believe in shortcuts. I think shortcuts will always haunt you. And if we do it, we try to do it right. Try to do it right once, and then we don't have to do it again. And lastly, it's persistence. A lot of people are giving up fairly easily, don't wait long enough to see the results, and we try to stick around for that. And I'm very grateful to be surrounded by a team of experts that I've been working with for up to 14 or 15 years.
And where is your team based?
We are everywhere. We are basically fully remote.
So Vertus is a hybrid company?
Yeah.
So you'd say, like, you have people from working from all over?
I've now been working remotely since 2021. So it's been 4.5 years for me that it somehow proves that I can do it.
Yeah.
There are physical meetings that cannot be replaced, and I'm traveling quite a bit. Again, I spent 75 days in China already, according to my married Bonvoy note, and I'm very actively building the relationships in person. But a lot of the work can be done remotely, and I'm having the luxury of working with people who are real experts, and a lot of the work can be done from anywhere. My office is the taxi. My office is the airport lounge. My office is the plane. Random hotel rooms. I can work from many different places, and half the time I want to be home. I was lucky enough to add one more child to the family a year and a half ago. Thank you. So I have one daughter, one boy, which is sufficient for now. And I'm trying to be present and at home as much as I can. And the other part, I'm traveling and hustling.
How do you find building a culture for your company when it is everything is remote? Do you guys ever meet up in person, like a couple times a year, or once a year, or do you have some kind of virtual drinks or something? How do you kind of, because a lot of times people say, to have like people stay with you for a long time,
right,
and build loyalty, you do have to kind of build a culture. How do you find what are the obstacles with being a fully hybrid company?
Yeah, it's a tough one. We actually met last week in Bangkok. 3 of my members flew in from China, from Australia, and from India. That's three of the core members for one client, which was very nice to see them again in person. Most of them I do know for many years. Guy Hearn, for example, I know him for 12 years. So there is a little bit of that element of trust already there, but it is difficult. We have later today our weekly call. So we do have a weekly catch up, and there's obviously pretty daily calls on different kind of projects. But to really build the culture is really difficult. And I think we need to do better in bringing people together more often.
Yeah. So your partner Guy, is he based in Australia?
He's flying around between Australia and Singapore quite often.
Okay. And which kind of clients, I don't know if you can share, but can you share what kind of clients you guys are working with now?
We have a different set of clients. One of the very exciting projects we are working with, and I'm partnering with another agency on this one, is a Thai business, very successful, selling about 10 million kitchen knives per year, including steak knives. And they want to build a new brand. And this is a super exciting project to build something from scratch. Nothing exists yet. So we've done the logo, the brand positioning, the research, and we're going to launch in the Middle East, which is a new market for us as well. And we are doing everything from A to Z as the core partner for the business, including having some difficult conversations. That's one part. I'm still very actively pursuing teaching. My dad is a teacher, and I never wanted to follow in his footsteps. But now I'm working with a very big pharma company, with a very big electronics company, with a very big paper company in Thailand to help them understand the foundation of marketing and media, because a lot of people in these organizations have risen through the ranks and used to be maybe sales managers, and now are marketing directors having budget control. But media itself is a topic that many people don't really understand in detail, and my goal is to help them improve the efficiency.
So when you say teaching, you're educating companies,
Yes.
people within a company about marketing, media, spending, budgeting. So kind of enhancing a company's employees, right? Something like that.
Correct. It's essentially, a lot of the formal training has not happened in some of these organizations, and you can't really blame the people for it. It's the same if you would ask me to make you a great PR plan. That would not be one of my strengths. So I'm building very tailor-made solutions for some of these brands, really understanding what are their problems, what is holding them back, then making sure everyone levels up, because we're also working with clients that have 10 or 11 different countries in the region to ensure there's a common denominator and understanding.
And when you do talk about media, what specifically are you referring to? So if I was a Thai business that I'm looking to go globally expand, what does media involve?
I think in the very basic fundamentals is you're not just a media buyer. That was always very important to me when I was in my roles, including Huawei and Oppo, because everyone can buy. For me, investment was very key. I should bring tangible results back from the investments. Now, the first question is, what do we need to achieve? We talked about branding, how to measure that. Is it brand uplift studies? Is it more traffic to the website? Is it improving the total volume for people searching for your brand? There's many different ways to really look into that, the branding element. The second part is, how much money do you actually need? What do you want to do? How to measure it? And how much budget do you invest? And then how to invest it? Well, how to do that in the best way possible. That's what I've been doing with my teams. And a lot of agencies are incentivized to work with platforms that may give them rebates, or where they make the most commission on. And that's something we don't want to do. We don't do any work as media buyers. It's really about, what are your business problems? Where do you want to go? What is the best way to get there? How much money do you need? How do you measure it? And how do you improve that? And that's essentially what we try to do.
So you would suggest a budget for them, or they'd come to you, this is my budget, and then you'd figure out the best allocation, and then in terms of get the results that they're looking for?
It's a bit of both. It really depends. And this is, I think, the exciting part about the work. In the last 2.5 years, I've been working with, I think, 17 different clients, and every client has different problems. There is no cookie cutter approach. Every approach we have is slightly different.
Yeah. And how do you find, traditional media where, for example, billboards? I actually see in Thailand they still use billboards a lot, but in a lot of places around the world, people have veered away from billboards, more digital. How have you found the shift of media kind of consumption from the customer point of view, and how has that kind of pivoted the way you think about the best media channels to hit an audience?
I think it always depends. What do you need to do? What do you want to do? I see a bit of a renaissance, using the French word for out of home, for example. If you look in an interesting metrics, and maybe you can show the picture here, I can share it from System 1. You look into, let's say, just impressions and just reach. Digital is great, it's super cheap, and you have targeting, but the attention people are spending with that media is incredibly low. And I think the best example is, let's say, Instagram. I personally don't think consumers or people in general have very short attention spans. People are willing to watch movies for a long time. And if there's a really great content, people have no problem spending 30 minutes on it. I think the problem is really earning their attention. One is with good content, but also finding the right channels. So the problem on, say, for many advertisers on Instagram and Facebook is to get people to do something, let's say a click or a download or anything.
Interested in the product, right?
But you need to show them the ad maybe 20 times. It's not very efficient. And it's not very effective either. So to your question, what is happening if you want to build a brand, you want to earn trust, the media channel also will represent that as well. I always joked about it with my clients that you just want as big numbers as possible. Then I buy the most shitty banners in the shittiest apps possible because it's super cheap.
Yeah.
But it's not what you want, essentially. It will look good on paper.
You want to translate sales, right? And so for example, if you have a product, like we use a product, for example, right? So a product you can advertise, right? You're saying that it comes down to, you cannot just see, a person cannot just see the product one time, oh, I'm going to buy it. Sometimes they might need to see that product multiple times in multiple different scenarios.
Correct.
So an example now, I'll just give you personal, what we're doing in our team is now, I've said, instead of focus on the product, let's focus on the problem we're solving. Because I think the product, sometimes people don't know they need it. So it's almost like you have to, not trick, but you have to hit like a trigger point with a consumer. So for example, okay, I'll give you one of our examples. I'm not giving away our secret, but for melatonin is it's not a supplement you can sell in Thailand, right? So I was saying, what we could do is can't find melatonin. We have like an alternative, but then we have magnesium. We have 5 or 6 other supplements, but that will hit the customer because people probably are trying to buy melatonin, but they can't find it. So you have to use these kind of marketing tactics and different strategies to maybe kind of get your point or your product across to the customer before they make that purchasing decision.
For sure, and I think this is the beauty about the advertising industry. It's all about persuasion.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of it is, again, that funnel hardcore sales, because your company won't exist for a very long time if you don't sell.
Yes.
So you still need to sell, ideally today and tomorrow. But it's also about creating and curating that demand for the next year. And sometimes these investments will not come overnight. Why does Coca-Cola still invest into TV and out of home and some of those very expensive big partnerships? Because the brand awareness level is 98% globally. It is still there that you need to be somehow top of mind. Now, not everyone is Coca-Cola and has their budgets, but it is about the balance of both.
So let me ask you. So I was in Morocco many years ago, and I remember I drove 8 hours or 10 hours from Marrakesh into the desert, right up until getting to the point where there was no shops or there was no, kind of signs of life. There would be like a Coca-Cola, like what do you call like a poster, like kind of, this is like in the middle of nowhere. And I think, wow, that's amazing that Coca-Cola's reach goes basically to the end of Earth. Do you think that's purposely done by Coca-Cola, or?
That's a good one. I mean, how thirsty were you at that point?
It was hot.
I mean, you have different moments, and I think Google is calling it the moments of truth, if I'm not mistaken, in their methodology. There are certain times where you really need to be reminded we need to make these choices. I think having Coca-Cola if there's enough people at least in the desert and you can buy it there, it's a pretty good investment of media. It reminds you.
Yeah,
and it might be the best Coca-Cola you've had in years.
But it is funny in these places which are, you think are so far from, these big cities and from marketing and global corporations. There's people still consuming Coca-Cola, Sprite, these types of beverages, right? They do have, it just shows you how far a brand can reach.
Yes.
There's one, I actually had a specific question I did want to ask you about, and you did mention this with the Chinese brands and, how to differentiate themselves, for example, to the consumer. So I don't know if you've traveled, but, Richard Mille watches.
Yeah.
So if you go to any major airport in the world, when you land in the arrival halls, they have a huge sign of Richard Mille, the watch, the logo, promoting this brand. But the truth is 99.9% of the people walking past that sign cannot afford that watch. So I kind of was curious to say, what is your take on that? And why do you think that they use that as a marketing method?
Yeah, it's a good one. Even here in Thailand, you see this very big billboard near Asok for Porsche. It's huge. It's going to cost a lot of money. And again, 99% of the people will not be able to afford a 20 million Thai baht 911. It is, I think, again, to create that perception. Because you may buy a Richard Mille because you like it, but you also will wear it because you think a lot of people will see you and know how much that is worth. So it's a status symbol.
So you think they're doing it for the customer? So people are aware that they can...
Partially. It's again I'm not sure how much the production cost will be, and I'm sure it's expensive to produce, but the margins they will have are going to be astronomically high. There are still brands that even Lamborghini is doing some out-of-home advertising as well, and some very expensive brands are doing it, even though it's not a mass product. I think it is just there to create these brands, and some are doing it even without very big advertising. How come everyone knows a Birkin bag? I've never seen an ad of a Birkin bag.
Yeah, social media maybe, right?
Maybe I haven't been targeted yet, but there are some brands I think that are able to still create that massive brand image for a mass audience, and everyone knows these brands. Even most of the consumers can't afford it.
Yeah, people are happy to pay a premium for a product. They know that the truth is a lot of these luxury brands, they don't cost what they sell them for. You're really buying the brand, but people are happy to pay a premium because all this brand equity has been built up over, I don't know, Hermes, but is it 100 maybe 100 plus years, something like that?
Correct.
Probably more.
And again, same story as Labubu, supply and demand.
And that's just evolving their media buying to kind of, create that, not illusion, but create that brand equity being, this is a premium product.
100%. And I think this is why it's very important towards the point about these shitty ads, like mini ads and shitty environments. Chanel, for example, has very strict rules. Apple has very strict rules. You would never see a Chanel or Apple ad in an unbrand safe environment or in a really bad app. They are just super selective because the media will represent your brand status and your brand value as well. So for Vitals, it's going to be also very important you put it into the right places.
Yeah. Because you want to make sure that the right people are seeing it, and those are going to be your customers hopefully one day. So you want to see that brand equity, why it's important to buy from this
shop. But let's say, for example, now with crypto, lots of people will get money very quickly. They may say, you know what, I want to have that Richard Mille now because now I got the money and I've seen it before and I know the status. These things do happen. So again, it's about curating and putting that brand on a pedestal.
Because they're also they're creating the people that can attain something in the future, right? Work hard, or like a goal, so to speak.
Correct. Everyone had a poster of a Porsche 911 maybe at some point in their bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to also touch base because obviously you're very busy, you travel a lot, and you are fit. How do you maintain, a good balance between, your work, your family, and also your personal well-being?
It's tough. I'm not sure if I'm as fit as I could be or should be. I have now the Whoop, and I'm glad to see you have one as well. I think for me the key element is one, I haven't been drinking for a long time. It's now 2 years since I haven't touched a single drink, and it helped me a lot with my sleep, and then also with the diet, because if I would be drinking, I would order in food, and I would not be as disciplined. I think
feeding your hangover.
Yeah, exactly. So no more drinking has helped quite a lot. I go to the gym, I would say 3 to 4 times a week, And even now I'm traveling, I try to stay in nice hotels and I try to hit the gym in the morning. I'm still trying to manage my calories, which I'm not doing extremely successful.
Which is difficult when you travel a lot, right? That's why I was going to ask you. So when you do travel, how do you manage your kind of, your diet as well?
Yeah, I always come back with a little bit more heavy than I have left, and then my wife will ask me very politely to reduce my calories moving forward. The biggest issue I would say is sleep. Now, with a very young child, the nights can be very short. And now with the Whoop, I've been tracking my sleep a lot better, and I've been adding some supplements. So I've been a customer of...
So what supplements do you take, and I guess why?
First one, I had a herniated disc and back problems. I've been reading that magnesium is quite supportive of that. So I take every morning a magnesium. Then I have a set of vitamin C tablets and then another compounding vitamin.
Actually, I have a new magnesium product. It's called triple magnesium, which I'll share with you, pillar. I'll share it with you later. It's a performance product, helps with recovery. Actually, might be worth, and it actually tastes quite nice as well. You mix it with your drink.
Good. I think those three, and then I've been buying protein powder as well, just to ensure I can hit my sufficient protein levels to keep my gains up.
And in terms of staying active, how does a week of your workout or your fitness usually look? Is it kind of in the gym? Are you running, walking, yoga, Pilates, ballet?
I probably should do more cardio. I do the Spartan races, maybe picture here again. Once in a while with my nice branded tank top on. That is the cardio I'm trying to get, and I have a mountain bike. I go on a bike ride probably once a week on the weekend for like an hour and a half. Nothing crazy. I have a rowing machine at home that I very rarely use though, and I just try to go to the gym. And
I think home equipment is probably the least used equipment anyone's ever bought. Like, everyone has the right intention but really bad execution on it.
It's difficult. I do have a TRX at home, so if I can't make it to the gym because...
You'll do like 1 or 2 reps?
I try actually do 100, but it would take me about 25 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It takes me a long time. I can do maybe 8 or 10 in the beginning, and then 6, and then no more than 4. And I need to make at least a 40 seconds pause in between, so not the best one. A little body weight, but I try to go to the gym at least 3 or 4 times a week. Also, I work quite a lot. My nights are generally fairly short, trying to take care of the kids. When I'm working from home, the days are normally fairly packed. If I can't make it to the gym, I feel like something is unbalanced. I feel off. So for me, this is something to be able to vent and get my energy rebalanced. There's in Hua Hin a nice place that has cold, like ice bath. I do that once in a while, and then trying to get massages on top if I can.
Yeah. So it seems like it is important for you still to kind of make sure you can balance all these things.
Yeah. If I don't hit the gym for let's say I'm super busy for like a week, I feel totally off. Even I've slept enough, I need that balance.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I try and do my workouts in the morning because I believe that maybe start the day with something difficult. And obviously I have kids as well, so I do. I try to actually wake up the same time as them, so they'll be up at 6 a.m. and then I'll I'll like get them set up. They'll go eat, and then I'll say, okay, Dad's gonna go exercise now. But I try and keep it quick 40-minute workout that I can come back, get them ready for school, and then spend some more time with them in the morning. Yes. But I'm just wary of time. We are about to run out of time. There's one last question I wanted to ask you. What are, Vertus, obviously you've been open for 2 years now, 3 years. What are your plans like in the next year or so that you want to be doing with Vertus? What kind of clients do you want to be doing, or where do you want to kind of bring this business?
I think firstly I want to work with nice clients, and we've been very lucky to be working with clients that do see us as proper partners and not just an agency. The goal for me is to find some brands that have really big problems. Some of the projects we've done last 12 months, some are open-ended, some are only 2 months or 3 months. I would love to find a very big challenge for some of these brands to guide them continuously throughout their journeys. And at the moment, I believe a lot of that will be from China because the demand is just there, and they do need support as well. It would be very unwise for Western brands going to China thinking they can just copy and paste the strategy, not just marketing strategy, and repeat some kind of success in China. And many brands have failed doing it. I think the Chinese are smart enough now to realize that they also can't just copy what has been done in China. So I hope business is going to be good.
Nice. Well, thank you for joining us, and I'm sure we'll have a part 2 maybe in the next year or so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.